That's not been allocated in our budget for anything else.
No.
Okay. The second point I would make is this: why would you keep money in an equipment reserve? It's not like the fund balance for the general operations. If there's an emergency, you need to. We have it there to buy stuff.
Right.
So in that sense, I'd say buy both vehicles. But if you want to hold off on spending $70,000 on a 110 just for a comfort level, and if Mr. Reeves thinks it's okay to hold off on that, I would do that. So it seems reasonable that the program that you've put here. And Bruce, the only question I have for you, and it's because I know nothing about running a highway department, you don't rent street sweepers, right? You have to own them?
Yeah, I think you can rent them, but it's very hard to get your hands on one.
Okay.
Because they're pretty much spoken for.
Right, so when you need it, you have to have it.
And we've got a big town. We're supposed to sweep at least twice a year. LA hasn't been done in years.
Right.
And you got intersections with stones that are dangerous, whether you're on a motorcycle or a car. The streets haven't been swept right in years.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that was the issue for me. It's just if they're not available to rent, then you got to buy it. I understand that. Okay.
You're right, because I talked about the rent.
You can rent them. They're expensive to rent. There's an outfit in town that rents them.
Yeah, they're expensive enough. I talked to this company about it, but it's very hard to get your hands on one because most of them are all spoken for already.
Enough said. So.
Yeah, and the other price that we had from Tracy Road Equipment was about $380 on a brand new, but you'd have to wait. This one is, I put demo in there, they're using it for trade shows.
So, yeah, stuff like that, they might put 100 hours on it. But
Right.
the same warranties are on it, and that's why we're getting it cheaper too. And I can get it right around the first part of April. If I wait and get a brand new one where there's hardly any difference, June or so is the earliest I can get it.
Right, which is outside of when you would probably be
Yeah.
street sweeping for the majority of the town.
That's why I'm trying to move on this, because this sweeper will be gone if I wait too long.
Right.
Somebody else will buy it.
Yeah.
And it's a 20-year plus sweeper. It's really well built.
It's going to be our sweeper.
The other one I looked at, 7 or 8 years, I've called 3 villages. They've had trouble with it. Got rid of it and bought the same kind of sweeper.
Yeah, and I don't want to buy equipment just because it's cheaper. I want something that will hopefully last as long as our previous equipment.
Yeah.
So I just wanted, we have the money to do this. But Colin and I will figure out when and where. The other thing I wanted to ask the board was, because we have the option to wait to pay for the other 2 trucks that are being outfitted until September, October when we get them. Do you want me to move ahead and pay for the chassis and save the $4,000?
Why not?
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
I just wanted to make sure.
$8,000.
Yeah, 4 apiece.
8,000.
We're
8,000.
going to spend the money later or now.
Yeah, I didn't want to go ahead without the board knowing what the path is when you'd sit there and go, Kevin, I looked at the voucher run and we just paid for 3 trucks.
Do you need a resolution tonight to authorize this? So Bruce can get the.
No, because budget-wise, we have it.
All right.
We have enough to get where we want to go with everything in the budget. And if I'm wrong, I'll come back to you at the next meeting.
Well, but we didn't authorize the sweeper, though. If you're okay with it.
Well, because, remember, we've already authorized $250,000 of ARPA funds, and we already have $315 in the budget. So we already have $565 to play with, and that'll cover
If you're good, that's
what we need to pay for right now.
all right.
Okay? Thank you. The next item, highway super elected appointed voter timeframe, that'll end up waiting until our town attorney comes. He said he'd be here for the board meeting. The next item on the agenda is the CREST grant for the Ninja course.
Am I not remembering something? What is this?
Ninja course.
Did we talk about this?
Yes, we talked about it back in December, right? So the town had received a grant from Senator Mannion's office back in 2021 for athletic equipment. We had never exercised that grant, and the board really, we talked about it at discussions and didn't really move forward. Nobody felt that there was a need for that equipment. The school district has some, found out it isn't really used, so we kept that grant. Well, I got a call from Senator Mannion's office the first week of December. And the way this grant would work is if we didn't exercise an option on it and find a funding for it, it would go to Senator May's office, but ultimately you end up at the back of the cycle. It's wherever you end up in the senator's run for that, their allotment of that money. And ultimately it'd put you you'd be the last person in line depending on who's in front of you. So it might be a year or two, but the money will be there. So the other caveat with Senator Mannion leaving office was it had to be done by December 15th. So we had a $200,000 grant that if we didn't want to wait another 2 years, putting the money 4 or 5 years behind. So our park director, Mr. Merrill, sat there and looked through and he said, we really don't have anything for this intermediary age group. And I have seen countless things on ninja courses and how people would love to have one. So he did his research, found the company that Greenfield's Outdoor Fitness here that builds or sells these courses, and with the town engineer, we came up with the project for the park. The total funding of the project, let's see, I gotta see if I can find. And this is how my scanner decides to bring scans in. It's straight on the paper, but my scanner can't feed it straight. So the total funding for the project would be $249 with a $30,000 contingency. The town engineer had explained to me that the $30,000 contingency is probably not going to be a huge. Is it anything you're really looking at?
No, I mean, the only thing that would really come out of that would be any assistance from the highway department as far as doing some excavation for us. And the parks tractor can auger the holes for the foundations. Like I said, it's just really any charges from highway for excavation and hauling dirt away from the site.
Okay.
So we will not expend anywhere near that $30,000 number.
Okay. So what I need to do for the crest part of the grant is show them where the $200,000, and this grant, just so the public understands, this is a reimbursable grant. So you have to spend the money, show them the project is done, and this is, I believe this grant is as you spend it, they will submit and you can be reimbursed.
Yeah, so
this isn't a do the project, finish it, get your money back.
No, we order the equipment now. They don't invoice us until the equipment comes in. We pay that invoice, we send in the reimbursement, and we get the reimbursement for the equipment.
So here's the ask of the board. It's the $200,000 part is the part we don't have budgeted. Once we looked at our existing budget, we had funds expended already in those accounts. So we're looking, what we need to show Crest is we have the $200,000 of reimbursement funds to be able to get reimbursed for. So because this happened after the town budget, I think the easiest ask is to take it out of the general fund balance to be placed in the Parks Projects budget, because we have to put it in a specific account for Crest. They want to see it in our budget lines of, not just, oh yeah, we're going to take it out of fund balance. So we have to present that, send that to them with our submittal. And what I would ask of the board is take it out of the general fund balance. We buy the equipment, we send it to Crest, we get reimbursed for the $200,000, it goes back into the fund balance. And had we known this project at budget time, that probably would have been the ask at that point in time when we did the budget. And normally on a grant project that we know is reimbursable before budget time, we would follow this process in the budget and budget the revenue of the grant reimbursement and budget the expense on the expense side.
So you're sure about Crest, so what you're telling us is we've got the 200, whatever the difference is between the total price and the 200, Crest is going to give us that money.
Yeah, we have money in other line items that will cover the difference, Bob.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
We have to cover the difference.
We have to show them where we're getting we have to show them where we're getting all the money
Where's the 49 coming from?
Us.
already in our budget between engineering expenses, parks projects expenses. We already have those budget lines budgeted.
So we have enough to cover those expenses under existing budgeted funds. And Kevin feels comfortable with that.
Kevin Merrill.
Kevin Merrill,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, because really right now you're looking at 249, but you're looking at 219. So the ask out of the between parks and engineering lines was $19,000. But we need to show the 200,000 that we're giving our part of the contribution.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
if the state of New York is good for the 200, I can't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
I'm good with that.
And this saves us, whatever project we were going to do, we don't ever sit there and, we have healthy fund balances. This isn't going to adversely upset anything. I can,
Well, it's going back into the fund
it
balance.
is.
Right, yeah.
Once we get reimbursed from the state, it goes right back to the general fund balance. I can tell you, as Colin's starting to work through, we're finally getting finished up on our 2024 bills. I know that the general fund balance is probably going to go up at least $250,000 on the first numbers I've seen. So we were in a good place for last year's budget-wise. The highway department is going to put about 300 grand back in to the coffers. So we're not affecting any of our fund balances negatively or negatively affecting the town.
it's
with this
just,
move.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that's an issue. It's a temporary thing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. But because we're moving money out of fund balance, we need a board motion.
Sure.
So,
Is that, you're going to add that tonight?
yeah, I do. I have the motion written up on my sheet.
Perfect.
Because we missed it on the agenda. Last item on the work session, brownfield cleanup. Mr. Yeager.
So there's an EPA funding round coming out for brownfield cleanups. Phase one of the grant, which pays for phase one and phase two of ESA's remediation plans, development. You don't have to own the property. So the town could apply for any parcel that we believe there's environmental contamination on, and the property owner agreed to give us access to do the phase one, phase two ESA, and then environmental remediation plan. I've been kind of racking my brain on what sites we could apply for. I haven't come up with a lot because primarily the sites that get funding for this are like old industrial sites, railroad laydown yards get funded a lot, old gas stations, things like that. I really couldn't come up with a lot. Our CHA specialist that does these grants is going to be in town on Monday and Tuesday. If anybody from the board wants to meet with him, talk about the program, he's happy to explain it to you. And maybe we can find a site or two that's worth applying for. We have a little bit of time on this. Grants, these aren't due until November. So this is kind of trying to get out ahead of it if we can find some sites that will qualify and are worth applying for, and the property owners, it assists some property owners in getting some sites cleaned up. It could assist some property owners in getting some sites cleaned up with some government funding. So if it's something the board's interested in, I'll tell our specialist to, we'll meet with them. If it's not something you're interested in, it's not a big deal. I just couldn't. I didn't come up with any sites that I can think of other than what's in the Radisson Corporate Park, which is already being funded. So I don't know if there's anything else that I can think of other than that.
So this is more of an ask, like if anybody thinks of any areas.
Yeah, if anybody thinks any sites that they think might qualify, let me know, and we'll pull something together for an application. But boy, I racked my brain for a day, and I have not come up with anything that's worth chasing that I can think of in the town of Lysander. There's some sites in the village of Baldwinsville that might be worth chasing, but we can't apply, even if it's on the Lysander side of the river, the village of Baldwinsville would have to apply. So
Well, that's good news that we don't have brownfields in the town of Lysander.
I just can't think of any, I mean, I'm not aware of any laydown, like railroad laydown yards, or like that are abandoned or not used. You know, I can't really think of any gas stations other than the one that's across where the U-Haul is now. But I think the tanks have been pulled on that. I think that has a clean bill of health as far as from a closure standpoint. Or at least that's the way the spill records or the tank records indicate from the DEC site. So I just couldn't come up with much of anything. I mean, if somebody, there's the Hillside Drive site where the old Sears Oil site was, but that's, again, being cleaned up by Honeywell. So that's already funded.
What about the Elizabeth Street garage?
We have a clean site there. The tanks were closed and remediation was done.
Okay. That's in the village, too.
Yeah.
So if anybody out like Plainville or Lysander, the hamlets,
Can think of something that I'm unaware of, let me know. You know, happy to look at trying to get you some funding for it, but I just can't think of any sites that would qualify, really.
yeah, I can't think of anything else.
And like I said, if you guys want our specialist to come in, he's happy to meet with you. Like I said, he's coming out of Parsippany, New Jersey on Monday and Tuesday to meet with some other clients. Let me know and I'll get something scheduled.
We got till November.
November, applications aren't due until November, so.
Okay.
Is there anything out Horners? The old Horners junkyard?
No,
There may be. I think you have to have
it's still active though, so I don't know if it's not really qualified. It's got to be a qualified brownfield, right?
Oh, no. Yeah,
Oh, no?
this would qualify, yeah, this would investigate to see if it would qualify as a brownfield.
Oh,
And you gotta have a willing partner that's willing to let you come on the site and do a phase 1 and phase 2 ESA, which, being an active junkyard, I don't know if he's gonna wanna do that.
Right. Yeah.
It's a question for
If
him.
anybody
Yes.
think of any defunct quasi junkyards out there that someone owns property, they might want some help
Or a
remediating.
junkyard that it was old and closed that I'm not aware of, one of those sites would certainly qualify. I didn't really think of Horners, that is a good one. I mean, we could certainly reach out to Jim and see if it's something that, you know, he's interested in participating in. You know,
Trying to help, that's all.
Okay. I think that was everything for the work session, so
Perfect time.
on the work session, we'll give everybody a couple minutes.